and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 242 for the week of January 5th, 2016. Almost said 15.
We would have forgiven you because it
wouldn't have been your first mistake of the year.
I've already written the date 7 times, and I've nailed it every time. Didn't write 15. Sometimes I write 2010.
It'll be the end of the month, and he'll
it'll be September, and I'll write 2015. I'm like, well, where did that come from? Anyway, my name's Ryan Higgins. Who's here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Bryce.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Well, we're both back from trips.
Boys.
Yeah, I know we're all men, but he forgets.
How was your New Year's? How was your Christmas, if you celebrate, or whatever you celebrate? Or if you celebrate nothing, how was your days off from work?
My days off from work were great. We do celebrate Christmas. I have a 3-year-old son. He fucking went batshit crazy for his toys. I could have gotten him 1 toy or 1,000 toys. He was jumping up and down. It's the cutest fucking thing. I know that. So Higgins isn't a breeder. Brock and I are breeders.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend for all those of you that find
okay.
I was going to say for all those of you that find a significant other with which you'd like to spend the rest of your life, that breeding is a great option.
Or adopting, because we're PC.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good point. Thank you.
PC, bro.
You're gonna be saying bro.
Anyway, because it is really, there are some tough moments, but I swear to God, all of those moments are made up for with change, or with interest or whatever, with some of these moments that you have with these little bastards.
My son started calling me father instead of daddy.
Hello, father.
He's all, yes, father.
Is he British?
No. He says, yes, father. I was like, all right.
Your mic is very quiet. I'm going to turn you up.
No.
That's fine.
Am
We're
I
good.
quiet?
Yeah, you're on. You're fine. All right. Well, that's good. You had many weeks to come up with your top 3 comic book related movies and comic book related TV shows, and of course you were allowed to fill in those other 2 lists with non-comic book related stuff that is genre related if you don't have a full 3.
Yeah.
And then you both fucking failed to do this. You did it, Bryce, and then left your notes at home. Brock didn't do it.
No. First of all, I left it at work. Second of all, I wrote it down, so it's actually in my memory.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot farther than I have.
Okay. Well, like we did last week.
I did a bunch of research to remember, because it's hard to remember the beginning of the year.
All right. As myself, Charlie, and Lane last week, we did our top 3 lists. Why don't we start, Brock?
Yes.
You have 3 comic books from 2015 that you enjoyed?
Yes.
Why don't you tell those to us? In some fashion of order, or no order at all, if you prefer.
Just like last week, are we doing Marvel, DC, and Image?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm not sure that Brock qualifies to answer the
Marvel
top
side.
3 Marvel
Yeah,
side.
your top 3 Marvel.
Top 3 Marvel. I can
Top
do.
3 DC, and then your top 3. You say top 3 Image, top 3 Independent.
I said Independent. You must have heard Image.
I thought you said Image. Well, anyway.
He said Image.
Yeah, I thought he said Image. Brock, Marvel.
Last year.
There were 3 comics you liked by Marvel last year. I know there were.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Thor last year. I really enjoyed the Star Wars books. And I really enjoyed Ant-Man.
That would be Jason Aaron's Thor, Nick Spencer's Ant-Man, which I think was on my list too, and both the Jason Aaron and Kieran Gillen Star Wars and Darth Vader. That's 4 books, but we'll allow it.
The
Starbucks?
The Star Wars is kind of its own franchise, so...
I really want Starbucks now.
The gingerbread loaf before it goes away?
2 of those 3 were on my list as well, except... The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, of course, topped them all.
Oh, God.
Bryce's favorite. If you listen to Bryce Briefly, episode 4, now available on our Patreon page, for as little as $1, you will have heard...
people buy that for $1.
You will have heard Bryce...
They'd be fools not to.
You would have heard Bryce's amazing response to reading his first issue of Squirrel Girl ever.
Yep.
He loved it. Book of the year.
Ryan Higgins said something in the last podcast, and for those of you familiar with the Bryce Briefly or this podcast or me in any capacity, I fucking hate agreeing with Ryan Higgins. One of the best books from Bendis's Avengers run was the one where Luke Cage and Jessica Jones hire Squirrel Girl as a nanny.
Yeah.
And there's an episode where she's protecting their baby
the Nazi robots.
against Nazi robots.
That is one of the best issues of that run.
It is a fucking crazy, what the fuck issue. And I think that it helps for me again that art because I don't dislike
Mike
Squirrel
Diodato.
Girl. Pardon me?
That was Mike Diodato. Do you like him?
It was Diodato. I do like Diodato.
Yeah, me too.
He's very good about doing good art, but most importantly, I think nowadays with good art is like on a schedule. He's actually able to like push out the books.
I thought we were gonna have them listen to the Bryce briefly for your.
What? I didn't really say anything. That,
Yeah, none of that was on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, well, why don't we just go company to company? Bryce, 3. 3.
I can get away with it because Star Wars and Vader are so
3
close.
top Marvel. 3. Now at the end, if you have an honorable mention or 2 you would like to add on at the very end of
fair.
the comic talk.
I can tell you what's not on his list.
Squirrel Girl.
No, Uncanny X-Men 300 or 600.
600.
300 would definitely be on his list. That's probably one of his favorite comics of all time.
Uncanny X-Men 300 or Frank Miller's 300?
No, Uncanny X-Men 300.
Both, actually.
Oh, there you
Both
go.
are really good.
Bryce, why don't you give us in maybe order, maybe no order, whatever you prefer, your top 3 Marvel comics of 2015.
Man, you are putting me on the spot. So here's the thing: is that I'm going to go with for this list, even though some of them came out in 2015. I'm going to go with all pre-relaunch books. For this 3. So I think that my top 3 would for Marvel would probably have to be, kind of boringly. Was Superior Foes this year? When did that end?
Like
Ended like 2014 or something?
Yeah, it was a while
What do
ago.
you mean, or something? That literally could have bled into 2015 and then it would qualify.
No. Spirit Fest is not this year.
All right, so my top 3...
To the internet.
That list you made, Bryce, that you remember completely.
Yeah, I don't remember. I made the list. I swear to God, I made the list.
I didn't even make a list or think about it, and I had 3 right off the bat.
So these are my 3 books for 2015 that are the best books of 2015 for Marvel. And that is Secret Wars is number 3. I fucking have really liked Secret Wars, and it's been new and different. And I'm only really saying that to be different because really my number 3 is Nick Spencer's Superior Ant-Man book, whatever the actual title is. Number 2 has been what Dan Slott has been doing with Spider-Man. Whether that's Superior Spider-Man, I'm not sure if that bled into 2015 or not.
No, that was 2014.
Renew Your Vows. Renew Your Vows could have been stronger, but still, he like kept a good cadence. And then, there's been, I think, 4 or 5 or 6 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not loving what he's been doing since the reboot. Oh, I guess I'm not talking about the reboot. I feel like everything with Amazing Spider-Man that Dan Slott has done, starting when I picked it up, or started reading it, which was like Spider Island, because I didn't read it since the Clone Saga. I was so burned on
2015, Bryce, your favorite Marvel comics of 2015.
So my favorite Marvel comics of 2015 are Secret Wars, number 3.
Okay, hold on.
Tied with Ant-Man.
Hold on.
Number 2, Amazing Spider-Man. Number 1, Thor. I think that's kind of a boring, like, everybody's going to do that.
Those are all mostly good books.
Which one was less good?
Secret Wars.
The finale of Secret Wars is next week if the stars align. So we'll see how it ends.
Look,
hold
really,
on.
Uncanny X-Men would have been on my list as like an easy, at least number 2 or 3
issues
above
to ship this
fucking
year?
Ant-Man. But like exactly, like I'll get into this rant later, but no, I'm gonna get into it now. This was a fucking weird year for comics. I did not have a good year of comics. There are some years that you're just gonna like write off. If you're following sports, there's gonna be some years that you just write off for your sports team. You're just like fuck.
Like
nobody
the
knows
Niners?
that like Higgins in his bandwagon Red Sox fandom.
Like the 49ers this year?
Like, and the 49ers this year, like, there's some years, and sometimes, like, a lot of years that you're just going to be like, well, fuck, that was a year that happened that,
There's always next year, Bryce.
there's always next year. So, I haven't felt like this in a long time, actually, where I felt sort of like we had like a half a year of books, if that, which were full of, I think some books that were better than others. I think some good books, and other people don't think that they were good books, but I'm right. And then we had 6 months of Secret Wars. And while I personally like Secret Wars, it's not even done. And I feel kind of burned that the miniseries were so just not relevant, even though they had some good stories. I mean, look, Weird World, we would not have a Weird World right now. And we'll get to the Weird World talk later, but like we would not have it right now if it wasn't for the Secret Wars miniseries. What was the other one? Old Man Logan, I think, reaffirmed in people's... I think that was a test by Marvel to make sure that he still had, appeal.
That people actually still cared about a Wolverine.
Yeah, so... anyway, the other thing is that...
I should be periscoping your face right now, Ryan.
So you were happy with many books from Marvel in 2015, but you feel that the Secret Wars kind of...
No. I was happy with many books in 2014. 2015, I'm fucking struggling to come up with my best of 3 because I feel like there was 6 good Uncanny X-Men books when there should have been 12. And I feel like that was the case with a lot of titles where there were 6 good books where there should have been 12 good books.
Well, Marvel and DC both had
shitty years.
Interesting years when it comes to output. The Secret Wars and Convergence kind of...
Why don't you just say shitty years?
Well, Marvel had a fantastic year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what do you mean? Like, why are you even lumping in Secret Wars with Convergence? Convergence was a pile of dog shit compared to Secret Wars. Sales and quality. Don't tell me...
Sales are pretty decent on Convergence. Mm-hmm. 8 issues weekly, 2 months. Yeah, sales are really good on Convergence. For that amount of time, yeah, Convergence was okay. Now, the miniseries do not sell nearly as well. The miniseries definitely sold a step down from most of the Marvel miniseries. I'd actually be interested to do a comparison to see sales-wise.
I would be fucking interested to see the comparison, considering how much shit you dropped on Marvel miniseries. And he's got, like, you guys should see that on his wall. He's got, like, 2-for-1 sale for the Marvel miniseries. He's got nothing for DC in terms of, like...
Well, for the Convergence stuff, I mean, I ordered pretty low and then cut even lower once I saw the sales for the first month or two, so I didn't have as much Convergence to clearance out, and all of Convergence was returnable. So, there you go. For the main series, not the minis. But
and
the
it
series.
Wasn't really delayed.
Yeah, it wasn't delayed at all. Yeah, everything was on time. And
I love how you guys keep talking about
delays.
Fucking delays.
The delays legitimately really hurt a lot of the sales in those books. Absolutely.
Dude, but
100%.
Okay, I'm not a retailer, but how is that even fucking possible? Like, how did you not know, okay, it's been delayed, let me lower my orders on this book, or
I did.
It's still selling fucking gangbusters compared to any Convergence title.
I did lower my orders on the book. Why don't you talk for a minute, and I'll take a snapshot of a few titles and their sales charts here at the store, and I can give you an idea of just how much the sales fell on some of these titles.
Higgins, I have no problem talking. So let me just also
Don't leave me here with it, Higgins. Don't do this to me.
Let me also just say that it was, not a slight on Marvel that I didn't include any Star Wars books in my top 3, because I think that a lot of people had Star Wars in their top 3. I really like Star Wars. I watched the movie when it came out with the guys. I really, really like Star Wars. I also have 2 kids and a budget and a mortgage, and I don't read Star Wars books. That's a whole fucking, like, rat's nest of shit that, like, I'm sorry, rat's nest. Oh, rabbit's hole. Thank you, sorry. Which I just can't afford to go down. So I'm sure that those are all incredible. I just can't afford to get into the whole Star Wars thing. So Star Wars comics I just don't read.
Hardcovers.
That's a totally legitimate way to do it. So, anyway, so it's not by design. I'm sure that they're really good. I've heard great things. It's sort of like the better DC books. It's not that, I actually think that all DC books are garbage. Just most of them. It's that, I have to pick and choose. I'm going to pick my delicious Marvel stories in lieu of any DC or Star Wars books. While Ryan is still doing that, since I won't get a chance, let me give you guys my top 3 to 5 Marvel books since the relaunch. I think that.
You're not gonna get that far.
Are you already done?
Almost.
Okay, well, I'll do it very quickly then. Extraordinary X-Men has been fucking extraordinary. Go get it. The Vision has been fucking incredible. Go get it. Squadron Supreme, I've only read number 1. I'm gonna put that on my top 5. There you go.
He's got 3, Ryan. Better hurry up.
Daredevil, number 1. Go read Daredevil, number 1. I got to get one more before Higgins sits down. I don't know what else is so good. Thor, go Thor. Thor is also in my top 5. Boom, top 5. Boom, done.
So let's take a let's take a real quick look here at a few of my Marvel books that were part of the Secret Wars miniseries and our sales history here. Old Man Logan number 1 sold 50 copies plus another 20 copies of the variant.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. So this isn't like numbers that they actually sold. This is from your store.
It's from my store.
Your fucking overly DC biased store.
Marvel outsold DC this year for the first time since I bought the store.
That doesn't make what I said any less true.
Okay. By the time you hit number 5...
But am I wrong? I mean, like, your store leans heavily DC, yes?
Not this year. Marvel outsold DC this year.
Ryan
Hands
fucking
down.
Higgins. Are you even listening to what I'm saying?
I am.
Compared to the industry in general,
Yes.
your store is more heavily DC biased.
Yes.
That's what I'm fucking saying.
But this year, Marvel outsold DC.
At your store.
At my store. Which is fucking unheard of. That should tell you how bad DC's doing right now.
That fucking is going to make me sleep warm at night.
And we'll talk about it later. Old Man Logan number 1 sold about 70 copies. Mm-hmm. By the time you get down to number 5, it sold 33 copies. That's the end of the 5-issue miniseries. Arguably, I would say the most high profile. Of
one
the
of their one of their high ones.
Let's move over.
These are the minis.
Yeah, these are the minis. Let's move over to and the main title I sold about 150 of the number 1. By number 9, I'm down to about 80. So a decent drop, not huge, but I mean it's still selling very well.
So 150 to 80 by the end.
Still selling very well.
What were you for Convergence 1 to the end?
It's a pretty consistent. I can look it up. I don't have numbers here. I think I sold a lot more than number 1s because of that.
They had the different.
Well, they all had the different cover, but that number 1 cover sold disproportionately better.
It was the Tony Daniel.
The Tony Daniel Harley Quinn cover. That sold.
Yeah.
I sold more of that than I did the end of what'll be Secret Wars, but by the end of, I was probably selling 60 copies a week. But I mean, it was like 120 to 60 in 8 weeks. So it's a big drop. But they're all returnable. A-Force number 1, I sold 56 copies of. By the time you get down to number 5, I sold 25 copies. That's an over a 50% drop there. That's a little rough.
But about a 50%.
Yeah.
And it sounded like Old Man Logan was about a 50%.
Right.
So are all these lists going to be about 50%?
I don't want to say X-Men 92. I ordered very high. There's a lot of hype behind that. I sold a measly 39 copies. And by the time you get down to number 4, and then there's variants as well. So, I mean, I sold between the young variants, the blank variants, the Spider-Gwen. I sold 40, 50, 60, about 90 copies of number 1. By the time you get down to number 4, I sold 18. And
are you able to pull apart, like, how many you actually sold in terms of, like, people? Like, if one dude...
The number's right there.
But
I'm not
show me
selling,
something in size 4 font. I can't read it.
I'm
what
not
I'm saying
selling
is that,
9 copies of this to anyone. Like, obviously the variants...
Well, that's what I was asking. Okay, so you're not. So you're not selling like 4 or 5 copies to 5 different people.
I don't think so. I mean, obviously the variants boost sales. I mean, I'm not going to... Obvious.
All right, so that is... Okay, so that's...
40 to...
That's 40 a story of variants, and that is a story of how bad that fucking title was.
40 to 18. And then I just picked another one at random. Age of Apocalypse number 1. Sold 50 copies of number 1. And by the time I got to number 5, I sold 17. Of the 27 I ordered. I'm losing money at that point. This is not me. I mean, you can look industry-wide. Secret Wars, much like Convergence, hurt the not only the miniseries, it also hurt books on both ends because the series that ended pre the relaunch those numbers drifted down as Secret Wars was coming in. The relaunch were real strong on the number ones, but check out those number 2 sales, man. Marvel, it's real scary, the drops for the number 2s. But this is a conversation not only later in the podcast, but also for the next couple of weeks when Diamond releases their official numbers for 2015. So, Brock,
Shit.
why don't we move on to your top 3 DC comics of 2015?
All right, top 3 DC comics of 2015.
That's what I said.
It's probably going to be like everybody else's. Batman, Justice League. Yeah, I mean, the last one, I guess, would probably have to be... I guess,
Good thing you wrote this list
Harley.
down.
Yeah, I know. It's going to probably have to be Harley.
Okay.
Harley was just fun.
Harley was very good. Yeah,
So, boring list, I know.
that was good.
But Batman and Justice League are just so good.
Justice League was on my list. Justice League somehow is the best the series has been since the started of the relaunch.
Is he still doing books every 6 weeks?
Who's that?
John's?
No, Justice. I mean, they did a skip month because they had all the Justice League one-shot fill-in issues for not fill-in issues. They had like a 5 one-shot issues that filled in, and then they double shipped Justice League in December, so to catch numerically back up. So
Wait. What the fuck just happened?
They're doing the Dark Side War right now, right?
Yeah, so they had 5 one-shots.
In November, they didn't have an issue of Justice League. They had 5 one-shots about the
One per week?
It was like 2 1 week, 1 a week, skip a week, 2 a week.
Well, no, I think Justice League came out
Can you
early
just give me
in
fucking
November.
round numbers? It was about 1 a week.
Roughly 1 a week.
Okay.
And then they double shipped Justice League in December.
Oh, that's right, because 45 came out before those.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're saying the one-shots weren't by John's.
No. But then both of the John's issues came out in December.
So, over the course of 2016, he did 10.
No, he did all 12. It's monthly.
He did 12 issues.
Yeah. Justice League is the same numbers as all the rest. It's
Well, I remember during Forever Evil, he was fucking, like, taking his time. And I don't know if that was because of the move or what, but I remember...
I think it's the art. I think it was what's his face. I think it was
Finch.
Fitch. Or Finch. I think it was Finch's art.
David Finch used to be so good, and
Yeah.
those first issues of Forever Evil were fucking great. But then those last 2, I thought were bad.
Bryce.
My
DC Comics of
top
2015.
3 DC Comics.
Okay, the Civil War miniseries, Secret War, Invincible Iron Man, and Hellcat. There you go. Perfect. What a list. Best DC Comics 2015.
Thanks for stealing my mediocre joke, Brian. But yeah, I was gonna do 3
Did you read a
Marvel
DC?
titles.
Did you read a DC comic last year?
So no, dude, I just did my rant on like how this was a bad year for comics, and there was.
Did you know this is one of the best sales years of comics? It is. Every year has been better. This has been a banner year, and the best probably since
Dude, I hear you.
turn of the century.
So my company, it's really boring, sells market intelligence. Okay, this has been our best year in the 50 years my company's been around. I cannot tell you anything particular that has happened other than inflation, which is what you are experiencing with your variance and your cost bumps.
No, it's unit sales too. I mean, they track unit sales. Unit sales are up.
So getting new people from whatever other media that they can and hijacking them
variant
into
bump.
the...
Well, it's also that Star Wars bump.
Star Wars and variants, yeah. That's why Marvel. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, so other than... Okay, well, I guess we will talk about it later. Okay, look, for my DC books, I did not read any DC books... Wait. War of Atlantis was not this year, right?
No.
No, that was...
Okay.
2012 or something.
Okay,
What was your favorite DC animated movie you saw this year?
Oh, dude, my son loves the Justice League Batman Lego movies. So I just watched them for the first time, and they're fucking great. Batman is hilarious.
I need to get the new one because it has they're starting to introduce Legion of Superhero Legos. Fucking doomed. Doomed.
Hopefully they'll have a Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
They do in one of the movies that I've seen. So my wife goes with my son to the library. It's adorable, and he picks out Lego superheroes, and it's awesome. On Netflix, they have the Marvel superheroes, and at the library they have the DC superheroes and Legos. It's fucking really cute. That's my answer. Not even a Marvel book, because Marvel like less than DC, but Marvel was just not.
So Bryce is saying he liked the DC. Was it the DC Lego covers that were this year, or was that last year?
That may have been the very beginning of this year. I think it was technically.
Let me do my Ryan Higgins impression. Brock, that was 2012.
Brock.
Yes.
You read some independent comics in
I did read some independent comics this
15.
year.
What were your top 3?
I'd have to say
Birthright.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I knew that. I saw that coming.
I have to say...
You're jocking that. You've been riding that jock for
Dude, you
like
keep
18
selling
issues.
it. You keep selling it on trade. I keep pumping those trades out.
It didn't make our top 10, but it's definitely good selling. Definitely good selling. Trade for us.
I'd have to... I mean, I want to kind of give... like Sandman Overture is kind of one of those weird, because do you put it with independent or do you put it with DC?
I mean, I counted that as DC.
Okay.
Why would you not? It's fully owned and run by DC.
Yeah, it says Vertigo.
Okay. Any Vertigo book do you count as an independent book?
Kind of. It feels more independent to me.
Right. That's your thing.
Yeah, I know. I'd have to say Southern Bastards. And probably Saga. With runner-ups would be We Stand on Guard and Southern Bastards. So
I need to catch up on Southern Bastards. I'm way far behind. But We Stand on Guard, I think that was one of mine too. That's a good book.
I haven't finished it, but I really enjoyed the 4 issues I've read.
Yep. Bryce. Oh, no, I think that was one of my honorable mentions. Bryce. Did you read any good independent comics this year?
I did.
What'd you read?
They've all been named, so my list will be kind of boring. I have not actually read yet We Stand on Guard, although I have them. I look forward to reading them. Haven't read them yet. I was saying to the guys earlier, I feel like this was kind of a year for independent books because a lot of great ones started last year. And not a lot of, and they continued this year, and so not a lot of great ones kept going this year.
A friend of mine named Jim writes for a couple comic websites, and Den of Geeks, I think that's where he posted his list. He started off his article saying, I'm trying to choose new stuff. I don't want to just have Saga be my number one book year in, year out.
Right.
I'm trying to choose titles that are new to this year.
Right.
The very first comment was, no Saga? Yeah. So,
it's tough because
it's tough.
Not a lot of new ones started this year.
Well, a lot
of really good ones kept going.
Right, a lot did, but man, this is not the industry. This is not me saying that the independent books are bad. I am at my lowest independent reading ever, and it's purely my own fault. I mean, it's just I read too many superhero stuff, and I just don't read as many comics as I feel like I used to, even though I still read 100 a month. There's so much from Marvel and DC that I want to read that I legitimately, my independent reading is that it must be an all-time low, and I feel terrible about it because there's so many good books I want to read. It's the trades. I got to start getting on the trades on stuff, and that's what's going to get me to read them, because I'm not going to read them in single issues.
I mean, for some of mine, it's like Walking Dead, Invincible, Birthright, even I love Birthright, but I have to do it in trade.
I'm at this point. I'm just buying the compendiums. That's how far back I am on Walking Dead.
Yeah, I just finished Compendium 2 for Walking Dead. It was fucking great. Yeah, there should be like a hashtag or something when I agree with you and I hate agreeing with you, is that like I feel like as much as I read, I'm just perpetually far behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, my list is going to be very cliche. It was Saga was my number one. I really liked Paper Girls. But again, I wouldn't even say that was in my top 3. I guess that was just honorable mention. And it came out this year, so I guess in terms of like what came out this year, it might be my number 1 because I didn't read a whole lot new because I have all of the We Stand on Guards, but I haven't read them yet. But Black Science is still really good. Lazarus is still really good. East of West is probably my number 2. I think that whole world that he's developing is great.
Did Higgins Dying and the Dead come out this year?
Lane mentioned that, and I'm like, what, all 3 issues of it?
There was 3 issues? I thought there was only 2.
I think there was 3.
No, I think there was only 2.
Well, that's a
either way.
But
it's like that book called The Secret, right?
Oh, jeez. I think, isn't there still 1 issue left in that? I don't know.
Yeah, so anyway, so I didn't read a whole bunch of new stuff. I mean, I just sort of Southern Bastards is wait, so 1 is Saga, 2 is East of West, 3 is Southern Bastards. That's right. That's my list. And then honorable mention to Paper Girls. Paper Girls is really good, but it's like when a new good Jessica Jones. When can I talk about that? I haven't talked about that.
When we get to movies, which is next.
I haven't talked about it at all, though. You guys all right.
I haven't even watched it.
So anyway, honorable mention to Paper Girls, which I feel like it's one of those things like where it's really good. It's just it's not in my top 3. So does that mean it's not good? No, of course not. It's good, but
only 3 issues came out last year, so it's only just the start of it.
Yeah. But still, I don't know if it'll ever get to like a top 3 status. So, fair play. Anyway, that's my top 3. Kind of boring, but there you go.
Brock.
Yes.
Now, I know you have some kids.
Oh God, I do.
Do you have time to watch any TV shows this last year?
Compared to the 2014, I did worse this year for TV watching.
Do you have now? Here's the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 3 comic book specific shows that you want to put in your top 3 list, put those 3. Now, you may like other shows more than these, but if you have 3 comic book shows, give me your 3 comic book shows. Your honorable mentions could be from any genre you want.
Yeah.
If you don't, feel free to fill in that top 3 with genre shows, if you will, and then obviously honorable mentions.
Okay,
you can fill out whatever you want.
I'm gonna have to say, in no particular order, Daredevil. Is on my list of top 3.
That was this year?
Yeah, April.
Well, 2015. Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say that also Constantine, and then the last one is
Constantine. Constantine ended
because it ended this year. It started up in October last year.
Did you say in no order, or are you going in order?
No order. And then
Constantine's fantastic.
In just top 3, dude.
It was in my top 3 last year.
Yeah.
Fucking woof. Keep going.
And then I'm gonna have to combine the last one as a Flaro. So,
choose one.
Oh God.
I chose one. You could choose one.
So I'm choosing yours, which is Flash.
No, it's Flash. Of course, it's Flash.
Honorable mention,
because not only do you have to think about this season of Flash, which has been really good, and this season of Arrow has been really good, but it's also the back half of last season, which was fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
So fantastic.
It was. You don't even know.
So, like, honorable mentions, Gotham.
Well, honorable mentions, again, any genre, whatever you like.
Yeah. As for shows that aren't specific, Longmire is one on there for me. House of Cards is on there for me that I really enjoy. And Justified's on there. I need to finish it up. So I have a lot of shows to get caught up on. So
Bryce,
damn kids.
You watch any shows that don't involve Legos or Teletubbies or whatever kids are watching these days?
Oh, dude,
Paw Patrol.
Wait, hold on. Original series. I'm looking up what they have. I gotta find this. Fuck.
Are you adding something to your Netflix clue while
it.
We're talking on the podcast?
No, I'm looking up Amazon because for my honorable mention, like the
Men in the High
show.
Castle? Oh.
I'm having a brain fart on the name of it. Okay, top 3 shows comic book related of the year. So I only have 2.5. My first one is Daredevil. My second one is Jessica Jones. And boy, do I have a fucking thing to say about Jessica Jones. People, and not wrongly, love Jessica Jones. And I want to hear more about what you loved about Jessica Jones. People are talking about, David Tennant.
I liked it better than Daredevil.
This is what boggles my mind, is people, and you're not nearly alone, fucking tons. I would say most people liked it better than Daredevil. I watched Daredevil and my fucking like world turned upside down. I was like, this is what a fucking TV show can do?
Daredevil was great. Jessica Jones to me was... Daredevil was like the Marvel movies.
Can I go on my rant? Because I've heard
Yes,
your rant,
yes,
and then you can like retort to mine. Because I actually want you to retort to mine to like show me where I'm wrong, because that's where I learn the most. Okay. Is that
Got a little Reed Richards going on here? What's going on here?
No, I do not have white hair. Which side? Which side?
I don't know. Maybe
Both
it's just
sides?
like matted down. I don't know. Maybe it's just. I think it's just matted down.
There's a little white right there.
My hair is turning white.
No, I think it's just like
Is it stress from dealing with you assholes?
Maybe it's just the light or something like that. Like I looked over and the way it's like
Wait,
reflecting.
on
I'm
this
like,
side?
no, it's just like matted down. Never mind. Go ahead. No, it's just like it's just the way your hair is like matted down. I'm like,
that's fucking blonde. That's
I'm
not
like,
white.
I'm like, you getting a little Reed Richards there? What's going on?
No, you're an
younger than I
asshole.
am.
That's white.
Okay, no, like I
Or
said,
blonde, not white.
like I said,
Don't do that.
No, I think it's just the
That's
light.
a fucking like not cool thing to do. That's not a cool thing to
No,
do.
you turned and I was just like, the light cut your hair and it made it look like got that little Reed Richards.
It was out of
going
a
on.
movie.
So,
I know.
Go ahead,
We fall in love later.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I thought that fucking Jessica Jones was kind of okay. Look, I'm going to say a bunch of negative shit about Jessica Jones, and it's kind of like if I were to give you my Star Wars impression, I would say more negative things than I felt. So Jessica Jones, I feel like, what the fuck? The whole premise of the first 60, 70, 80% of the plot was that he was like lonely and wanted her to fall in love with him. Like that's why he killed like all these people, is because he wanted her to like come live in his home with her, and he thought that would go well. Like that was literally the plot of the first half of the season was, oh no, I just wanted to get your attention so you would like willingly come live with me. Like it is such a fucking tired and sorry and desperate, like, oh god, like I thought you were some scary badass villain, but he's just like, oh, I just wanted her to love me, like for me. And it's like, oh god. I thought that Daredevil, and I'm only comparing him because, both Marvel, both Netflix, both rating level about the same for different reasons, as they discussed in a previous episode of this show. Way more sex and swearing in this episode, in this season, and way more violence. Although there was like more graphic violence in this one, but it doesn't matter. I felt like that one was like, oh Jesus, like there's way more like brutality and fighting in that one, and I was like, yeah, getting into it. And this one, it's like, why won't you love me, Jessica Jones, from Doctor Who over there, and Charlie and Higgins are going off about how David Tennant has never been the same, and this is no doctor you'll ever see. And I was seeing, and look, I fucking love Marvel more than anybody at this podcast, and I also happen to like Daredevil. I'm sorry, Doctor Who. I'm sorry, Doctor Who. I like both, but Doctor Who and David Tennant was my favorite Doctor, and I really wanted it to be like successful and have him be like a creepy villain, but I just felt like it wasn't creepy. I felt like the whole thing smacked of desperation, and sort of he was kind of like a pathetic villain or character, I guess more appropriately. Was that the whole time he was just like, why won't you love me for me? And it was like, And then also, was it Justin Haywald? Somebody said, like, it might have been Ryan Scott, or it might have even been fucking Higgins, although I doubt it, which is like, the first time he hired people to protect him and they rescued him. Okay, that's how he got away the first time. The second or third time, it was the time when they had him trapped in the hermetically sealed vault. Like, they use the words hermetically sealed vault, and then he gets away. And it's like not even the finale of the season. And it's just like, how is this fucking happening? My eyes are rolling everywhere. He just wants her to love him. Even with the final episode, he's like making out with Patsy Walker just so that he can make like her jealous. And it's just like, this show has gotten like 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Look, I liked Christian Ritter a lot. I actually was not like Higgins. I actually got the nuke reference immediately, and Ryan Higgins didn't mention on the podcast, but he has red, white, and blue pills, or the medicine that he takes. that Higgins didn't mention on it. But like as soon as they were like, oh yeah, take the red one to get amped up and take the blue one to calm down, and then the white one levels you out or whatever it was, and it was like, oh fuck, and then the lighter with the American flag, like that was cool, and the the Luke Cage stuff was fucking awesome. I actually was kind of bummed. I think that one of Luke Cage's easiest and best TV show episodes should have been the one where he's in the hospital and they can't get a needle in him to save him, because that's a new Avengers or an Avengers like story that they do. And I don't know if it happened like back in the day, but it happened like in the past year or two or three, where Luke Cage gets hit by a bomb and he has to go to the hospital and they can't get any needles in him to save him. I think that's a great fucking narrative. That's a great story that they sort of burned in Jessica Jones about Luke Cage. And so, if Luke Cage is going to be 10 or more episodes, it was like, that was at least one of your episodes that sort of went to Jessica Jones, because I think that was a great story that they burned there. But anyway, I thought he did it. I thought he did a great job. Again, this is sort of me complaining about which Marvel movie is the worst. They're all fucking incredible. So everything that I say, it's like complaining about Star Wars. It was really, really good. I'm just going to complain about what I can complain about. I just thought that fucking David Tennant was a whiny bitch, and the whole thing was very pathetic. Like I felt bad for him. Like I felt like he was lame. Like the first couple episodes, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. They're going to lead up and he's going to be this like super badass villain. And then he's just like this pathetic guy that wants a girl and they can't catch him. It's like it's like the comedy of errors. It's like it's like the Three Stooges, the back half of the season where they just can't fucking catch him.
Well, I will admit that was sort of the one thing, if I had a complaint, was you could have let him gone twice. You could have let him get away twice. The third time was a little too. It was like, oh, okay, here we go again. But you're dead on about he's a pathetic character and he just wanted her to love him. You're 100% correct. He's not a scary guy. He's a sad guy, and he's using his scary ass powers for realistically kind of. I don't want to say nothing, but for a very common goal, I guess, is where to go with this. The creepy part, he's an emotionally stunted kid. His parents tortured him when he was younger. He's never had anyone say no to him. She's the first. So he's like, you're the thing that's different. I need you because you're the only one that's ever said no. You're the only one that's ever walked away, right?
Yeah, and I don't need every villain to want to take over the world, but I kind of felt like
I think there's more.
He is way more powerful than Wilson Fisk or Kingpin.
Yeah,
but his fucking base motivations are way lamer. Like he just wants a girl to like him, and I don't know if that's like the humility of that level of his direction as a character is supposed to make me endear him to me more.
Let's think of it this way. You and me in the real world right now, you had his powers. Would you want to be a crime overlord, or would you just want to kind of hang out and be like, yeah, I'm just going to do whatever I want? Who the hell wants all that power and responsibility of what Kingpin wants, right? He wants it because he wants it. But the average person isn't going to want that level. I wouldn't talk myself into being president if I could, just because I had some weird power. That's a fucking shitload of responsibility. You have something like Purple Man's power. You're probably just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to, I don't know, make a bunch of money, hang out with some chicks. That's fine. That's all I need in life. Most people, they're going to be their reaction.
That's my reaction.
Yeah, to me, he's a very human villain. He's not a super villain. He's not. I mean, this version of him. He's not a crazy, Red Skull or Thanos or even Kingpin. He's a much more personal villain.
He's a street villain.
Well, then I think that they should have made his powers weaker or something. I mean, like you just said, he's a street villain. They make him in the show to be able to be so much more powerful than he illustrates. I mean, you're saying like you and me, like if I had his powers, I would fucking like do some. I wouldn't want to be president. You're right, but I would use those powers to get all the money in the world, and then I would fucking retire.
Molecule Man. He could completely reshape the universe, but he uses his powers to rob a bank. Right?
Well, he hasn't done that since the fucking 80s. What kind of argument is it? Like,
But that's
it's a poor example. He hasn't done that since the 80s.
But that is the plot of Molecule Man in the Fantastic Four comics. That he's this this laughable villain that's a complete joke that it basically does nothing. And Doctor Doom's like, you're the most powerful person in the universe.
So a couple things. First of all, I don't think that they created Molecule Man before they realized sort of his untapped potential.
Of course.
And so I think that that's a poor example. Second of all,
I think Purple Man goes back to the Silver Age. He's a Daredevil villain,
right? But I think that
he was never a scary villain.
As soon as Bendis got a hold of him, he was like, "Look what the fuck this guy can do."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that it speaks more to how emotionally stunted he is. I don't know, dude. All I'm saying is that even if we agree that he's a great character and that he's just like you and me, if we have these powers, whatever you want to argue or dispute, it was fucking lame that the whole season was around him pining after her and wanting her. There was a solid 2 or 3 episodes in that short season of him wanting her to live willingly in his house.
Yeah.
There was 2 or 3 episodes, and it was
because he can't control her. So
are
he wants
you
to see.
Fucking kidding me? And she goes along with it because she's half undercover because she's trying to catch him again, and then she's trying to stop the cop from blowing her up. And
she's trying to rescue those people, and
oh god, it was Kingpin. I understand. You want to
So this is your second favorite show of 2015.
No, I didn't get a chance to vent about Jessica Jones. Everybody and you're not alone in your love of it.
I liked it a
people it does have a 99. I'm a big Rotten Tomatoes whore. It has a 99% or whatever it is. It has some crazy thing on Rotten Tomatoes, and I usually agree with Rotten Tomatoes, but this one I'm just it was my second favorite, and so I feel terrible arguing. It's like nitpicking Star Wars because I get it. It sounds like I'm so much more negative than I was. I actually really did like it, but there was just some things that I was just like the Luke Cage thing. That was such an awesome scene. My nitpick is that it wasn't in a Luke Cage season. So
what non-comic book or other genre shows would be your
that's what I was looking up.
Honorable mention?
Have you guys seen? It was from I think BBC, but it's only been distributed here via Amazon. I just remembered it. It's Catastrophe. Have you guys heard or seen Catastrophe? I'm pointing at Brock. Should watch Catastrophe with your old lady. Do you and your old lady watch TV together, or is it just sort of separately?
I try.
That's a no. So I think that you should. Everybody listening, if you have an SO, you should fucking watch Catastrophe. It's if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get it for free. I don't really know how it works. My wife's an Amazon Prime member, so I just get it. But I don't know how you get it if not. But Catastrophe, it won a bunch of awards, and I'd never heard of it. My wife was like, "Oh, we should, watch this. I've heard of this. This and Making a Murderer, the best things." And I was like, I never heard of either of them. But dude, watch Catastrophe. It's fucking laugh out loud funny. It's about some guy that goes to England and knocks up this chick and sort of how they decide to have the baby together and sort of what ensues over the next 9 months. It's fucking hilarious. There's a lot of real life humor in there. So you'll especially like it if you're in a relationship. You'll especially like it if you're a breeder.
I was just about to say.
So Higgins will only like it halfway. But anyway, so that's my. Yeah, I'm just going to drop the mic with that honorable mention.
I just added it to my watch list.
You should. Anyway, so wait. So for comics, it's Daredevil, far and away number 1. Jessica Jones, number 2. Number 3. Oh, so I said 2.5. So my half. So I haven't seen this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I have a feeling that not everybody that listens to this podcast is as comic book nerdy as us. It's possible because they are not only listening to a podcast, but they're listening to a podcast about comic books. So it's entirely possible that everybody is as nerdy as us. But so I have a buddy that I go with to watch movies after the kids are asleep, and we went and watched. What did we watch? We watched Ant-Man together. Kelly, maybe in your fucking wet dreams.
I don't know if I picked up with the mic, but
no, you don't see movies with your bro friends.
Star Wars or something like that, the big things.
That's a no. So anyway, so I have a friend that I go to see movies with, and Kelly sits at home and watches the kids, and I go with my buddy. So we saw James Bond. I'll get to this when we get to the movie part, but we saw Ant-Man, we saw Mission Impossible, we saw a bunch of shit. Anyway, we saw Ant-Man, and Kelly hasn't seen Ant-Man. Sorry, Kelly's my wife. And he's talking to me about like all the superhero shit because he doesn't know like how into this world I am. Because we're friends, but like, you know, I have soccer friends and I have comic friends and I have.
Is this a drinking buddy?
No, he's not a big drinker. It doesn't matter. So we anyway. So he's like telling me about all the stuff that's been happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He says that Agents of. So anyway, the point of this whole little mini rant is that people that aren't like in our world love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He and his wife watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. every week. They're not into comic books. That you could tell them. Possibly 99% of the characters on this wall, you could tell them the names of, and they would be like, "What? Who are you talking about? I don't even know who that is." And they're just like normal people that like love the idea of superhero movies. And like he wanted to see Avengers 2 with me, but I forget for whatever reason I wasn't available. But you know, Ant-Man, like his wife wasn't going to see it with him, but he really wanted to see it, and he like is interested in this whole world that we live in, but he's not like in our world. So, but anyway, he was like telling me about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's like, "Oh, season 3," and I was like, "Dude, I've heard that it's really good. I really want to watch it. I haven't." And he's telling me how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like leads into Age of Ultron, and then there's the whole like Hydra thing with Winter Soldier, and it's all intermingled with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Anyway, so that's my half, is that this guy that I'm not sure that I would recommend his taste, but it is interesting to know when one of your friends that isn't like in this world with you is like, "Oh, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is so good." It's like if any of my friends had been like, "Oh yeah, you know, Gotham or Supergirl is really good," I'd be like, "Look, dude, I believe you. I just haven't seen any of it, so I can't really tell you. Like, I do believe you because he's my buddy." But anyway, so that's my half is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have not seen it, but it has good thumbs up from a dude that I like, if not trust.
What's your name? Brock?
Yep.
Hey, Brock.
Yep.
2015.
Yes, 2015.
Some movies came out.
Yep.
What did you see that you liked? 2015 comic book for your top 3. If you could find 3, there was only 4, so I'll accept if you don't have 3. And then fill in with some honorable mentions.
Star Wars.
That doesn't count. You can't pick Star Wars.
Oh yeah, you have to say your rule.
Yeah, no Star Wars.
What you just said.
Yeah, no Star Wars. Star Wars gets its own special category. What's your favorite Star Wars movie of 2015?
Higgins said you can't do Star Wars in the last podcast. He said you can't do Star Wars because everybody would choose Star Wars, and so it would be an unfair ranking system. So your top 3, sans Star Wars.
Sans Star Wars. Okay. Ant-Man.
Okay.
Age of Ultron.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to think of the other 2 comic book movies.
Fantastic Four.
Why is that? Why is that even?
There's no X-Men this year.
Kingsman.
Okay, and Kingsman. Yeah, sorry, they said X-Men. Kingsman.
I
Which,
wish.
like, there was only 2 that came out this year. Well,
what was the other one?
Well,
He just said
Fantastic Four.
Ant-Man, Avengers 2, Kingsman,
Yeah.
and Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Oh, Kingsman.
Mark Miller, Ryan hates him.
Yeah, so there's only 2.
Yeah, this is only 1.5. Let's be honest.
I got 2 in
Dude,
Star Wars.
All right, are you done? Can I go?
You're gonna pick the same ones I pick.
No.
What's your
Except add
Brock?
Kingsman.
What is your honorable mention movies for 2015? That it could be whatever you would like.
You are so annoying.
You'll get your 30 minutes. Don't worry.
I honestly, I haven't really seen much this year. I have a lot that I want to see.
Okay.
Like The Theory of Everything.
Yeah.
Imitation Game. Ex Machina. I heard is really good. Was Birdman this year?
No,
that was last year. Okay.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, you didn't see them, so you can't pick them.
Well, no, these are I haven't really been able to see movies this year, so these are the ones
What do
that
you
I
have,
want
2
to
kids?
see. Yeah. Fuck.
Who at this table has 2 kids, bro? Come on.
Jesus.
Bryce, if you have 3 comic book movies from 2015, go ahead and pick them. Fill in with honorable mentions from the genre category, if you will, and then honorable mentions. Could be
All right,
whatever
let me
you
stop
would
you right
like.
there. Higgins has been so fucking annoying.
I'm down on all Age of Ultron, man. I the more I think about it, the more I don't like
Higgins, like it was like 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 or 3. I forget what it fucking was, but a couple podcasts ago, Higgins said something so ludicrous. I was laughing out loud by myself in my car and just so angry at his like stupidity
about
at like,
Age of Ultron.
the power that he has of running this podcast. It makes him seem like an authority. He said that Age of Ultron. Something like it showed the chinks in the armor of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It totally did.
And I literally was by myself in my car and like put my palm to my forehead. I was like, this guy's such a fucking idiot. Like,
what I said was, everyone expected Ant-Man to be the first flop of the Marvel Universe.
Oh, you're already wrong. You just started talking and you're already wrong.
No.
Guardians is when they first thought that it would be a flop. Don't lie. That is true.
But Guardians' first trailer kind of turned people around on that, and everyone started to get hyped on it.
How does that change your story?
Hold on. People early thought Guardians, and then when they started seeing stuff, Guardians turned pretty quick. Ant-Man, even to release day, people weren't happy with it because they lost Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright walked off the project as director, and that was one of the main reasons people were worried that Ant-Man was going to be kind of the first big flop. Not only was it not a flop, it was a fantastic movie. I don't think anyone expected Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron did not perform up to Disney's expectations. Now, that doesn't mean it wasn't profitable. It was a huge success. It broke $1 billion, but it didn't beat Avengers, and they expected it to. Joss Whedon walked away from Marvel after this. It had some issues. The reviews were not as good as Avengers. Like I said, it still did well. It's not like Marvel's going out of business and they're going to stop making movies because of Age of Ultron. But it was a weird... It had flaws that I don't think anyone expected to see out of Age of Ultron. It did. It 100% did.
Dude, I think that you're fucking wildly wrong. I think you're just like looking for...
No.
You know that it did 2x what your loved Man of Steel did.
Not quite, but it definitely did more than Man of Steel.
Like 180%, not 200%, but 180%.
It did like... Man of Steel did like 650. This did like $1 billion.
It did not do 650. I just looked it up this morning because I knew that you would fucking pull some bullshit out.
Did like 660, I think. Anyway, so... I mean, I'll look it up right now. But...
Look, dude, all I'm saying is that you've been fucking clowning, like, surreptitiously on Age of Ultron for weeks, and I haven't been here, and nobody in this podcast will, like, tell you otherwise. Age of Ultron was fucking, like, just fine / great, and you've been shitting on it every episode. Like, oh, I guess that's a movie.
Man of Steel did 668.
Okay, I was just talking shit. So... I mean, you have been talking shit about like Age of Ultron.
It did well. There was good parts. There are definitely great parts to it. It is a.
It was when you said that like Age of Ultron showed the chinks in Marvel's armor, which is like
Bryce.
What the fuck?
Again. Think of this in your Jessica Jones comparison. Okay. When nearly every movie that Marvel has put out has been an A,
you said
and
that.
one
you said
comes
that.
along and it's a B, you're like, huh, this is not as good as the others.
And you said in your wrong opinion about Iron Man 3, you said that this is the second worst, second only to Iron Man 3 in terms of if it's the worst, that only means that it's a B- instead of an A or whatever.
And everyone expected Age of Ultron to be more profitable than Avengers, to stay in the theater longer, to be better, more well-received than Avengers, because Avengers was pretty high. And again, much like Episode 8, I don't think Episode 8 is going to do as well as Episode 7. I think...
So is that going to show the chinks in Disney's armor for Star Wars?
No, it's going to show that something like Avengers was kind of that right movie, right time, right director. Everything worked perfectly, and Age of Ultron was not a perfect movie. I think Avengers to this day is still my favorite Marvel movie.
I think that, I mean, it showed the consistency with the sequels. In the sense that, I mean, if you look at Iron Man to Iron Man 2, Iron Man 2 was pumped out very quickly, versus they didn't take their time with it in regards to the first one. And then Iron Man 3 was pumped out even faster than that. So the first Avengers, yes, is great. It works. It's great. But then the second one comes out and you see all these problems. Like Joss Whedon's walking away from the project afterwards because he's sick and tired of dealing with Disney and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
you
you have...
You guys keep fucking talking about Joss Whedon walking away. Edgar Wright walked away and it turned out to be like for the better. Joss Whedon walking away after he was done, like... you keep talking about this like this is like
Marvel has
some fucking like the beginning of the end. What the fuck?
Marvel has had. Now, every movie has directors come and go.
You were naysaying when Edgar Wright first walked off Ant-Man. This was like over a year ago.
Everyone was.
You were on the podcast saying like, "Oh, well, that's not fucking good." Edgar Wright just walked off the movie.
Everyone was.
And Ant-Man turned out to be fucking great.
Yeah, it did.
What the fuck?
Who would have expected that Age of Ultron was the first chink in the armor, not Ant-Man? Now we're coming back to where we were. Anyway, Age of Ultron, I'm sure, was one of your top movies of 2015. Why don't you continue with your list?
So my list, Age of Ultron was the fucking like best movie of this past year. Number 2 was Ant-Man. I did not see Kingpin or Fantastic Four, and
What about Kingsman?
What did I just say?
Kingpin.
I think that either I slurred or you misheard me.
No, you slurred.
Well, Kingpin would probably be a great fucking movie, but
Kingpin is a great movie, actually. You seen that? It's funny. Woody Harrelson. It's a funny movie.
Oh,
that's a good movie.
That's a good pull. Yeah. That is a fucking great movie.
It is a funny movie.
It's fucking great. Anyway,
what he has
Kingsman
to do to pay
and Fantastic Four I haven't seen and will probably see neither. Although, dude, I'm telling you, for all these people outside of our world, like, so Kelly's heard from her like, friends and relatives that Kingsman was like funny because there's
everyone I know loves Kingsman.
There's like all these people outside of our world, and I'm thinking like, fucking Mark Millar just makes comic books for movies, yep. and I'm thinking this,
nobody cares.
I can't explain that to Kelly.
Like, nine people care.
She's not gonna. No, and even I don't care because I like way more Mark Millar shit than you do. But which is to say,
one or more is more than me.
Well, exactly. Like I think that the only one that I like is Kick-Ass 1, and that already makes me more of a fan of his than yours. But. Like, I can't say that to Kelly. Like, she won't get it, right? But she will hear from all of her friends and relatives that, like, Kingsman was a good movie, and it's worth 2 hours of our time. And in terms of, like, when you get your baby mama and you can only watch movies after you put the kids down, it's like, all right, well, right now we're watching Blacklist. Wait, have we done non-comic book shows, or is that time passed?
That's passed.
Okay, well, whatever. We're watching Blacklist. It's really good. Is it on my top list? I don't know. Probably not. Sorry,
what about your my honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions. So like I told you with my my movie bro date friend. So I loved the fucking James Bond movie. Spectre. I did not really care for Mission Impossible. I liked it, but Tom Cruise being a crazy ass is just a little too much for me. Even though every movie that he does is really enjoyable, I just can't get over the crazy assness. Spectre I really liked. If you guys have seen Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, this is sort of like a comic book in terms of how it's serialized. Like it pulls in elements of both Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. I'm not a James Bond like lore guy, but dude, I'll tell you that I wanted to be after watching this movie. I was like, oh shit, like these elements are all tied together from these three movies. Plus, Daniel Craig's a handsome motherfucker, and so that that's always
plays a good stormtrooper.
Daniel Craig. Mm-hmm. We're talking about the same Daniel Craig. Mm-hmm. Was he a stormtrooper?
Yeah, he was one of the stormtroopers.
He was the one that Rey told to release her and drop the weapon.
Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
From the new Star Wars?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Is he, like, into Star Wars? How did he get that role that nobody knew about?
Oh, it's what Abrams... He's buddies with Abrams,
Daniel Craig? Mm-hmm. How fucking random. That's awesome.
When you watch it again, you can hear his voice with that stormtrooper mask, or with that stormtrooper kind of thing.
Those don't mask their voice. Anyway, can we talk about these, or how are we doing on time?
Is that it for your picks of your honorable mentions for 2015?
Wait. Give me some like quick ones. What else? I loved Inside Out.
Inside Out. That was a great movie.
So before I got married and had kids, I was a fucking
talk to your head
rock and did not fucking have any emotions in my body. And never mind. I'm not going to tell that story.
You have your inner sadness has come out.
ever since I had kids,
You're like 17-year-old goth Ryan.
dude. I'm telling you, I got into a relationship with Kelly, and like we were like towards getting married and like thinking about like having kids or breeding, as Higgins said. So
Hey, I didn't say it once publicly.
yeah, only in tweets. Anyway, I fucking watched. What was it? It was early in our relationship, but I watched Up. Have you guys seen
Oh,
Up?
fuck that movie.
Why?
Yeah, fuck that movie.
Because of how sad it is.
This movie's a goddamn nightmare. Fuck that movie. I'll never watch that movie again.
Dude, I like my non-comic.
Did I not tell you my seeing Up in the movie theater?
No.
You have it's me and Leanne, and 50% adults, 50% kids because it's an animated movie. The adults are just openly weeping. The kids are bored to tears. Right?
Yeah.
It was a very weird experience.
Dude, I don't. So I saw it on Blu-ray DVD or whatever at my place in Santa Barbara with Kelly.
It's like that and Grave of the Fireflies. I'll never watch again.
I guess.
Grave of the Fireflies. I'll never watch that movie again.
Oh, you told me that, so I still haven't seen it, even though like I've seen every other Miyazaki film.
Yeah. It's tough.
But dude, I fucking watched Up, and I fucking lost my shit, and I had to go into my room and cry by myself. And I'm like almost a 30-year-old man, and I just like, and I'm not even married to her at this point, and I'm just like so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my god.
No, I already
is
told
crazy.
Leanne. I'm like, I'll never watch this movie again.
And I just fucking.
So you're saying you cried?
We're walking around Disneyland, and they start playing the music, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, dude. Seriously,
It's bad
it's crazy.
times.
So anyway, Inside Out, same-ish thing came out this year.
I didn't cry. Inside Out was good though. It was tough, but it was good. It was a good movie.
So at Up, I was fucking bawling like out of control, and it was embarrassing. Inside Out, I shed a tear or two. It was sad. It was very sad and very emotional. I think that it hits you more when you have kids because the whole thing is about like your kids growing up and not giving a fuck about you anymore, which I think hits you harder when you have kids. So anyway, it was a really good movie. Full stop. That was probably my other whatever. I wish that I'd seen Jurassic World. I have not. Oh, Mad Max Fury. Okay, I'll stop. But Mad Max Fury Road, fucking loved it. That was another bro date. I saw a fucking lot of bro date movies.
So we're gonna now we're wrapping up our 2015. Of course, we'll always have more books to talk about and comics to talk about from last year as it goes on. But before we end this podcast, I have a couple things we want to do real quick. We do not have Diamond's official numbers for December or 2015 yet. However, I realized that's next week, 2 weeks.
Let's just do quick hits.
No. I haven't even read them. I've only read one of those yet.
Are you trying to do them quick hits?
No.
Weird World. Go read Weird World.
We didn't actually get around to doing our November top 10 for comic books and graphic novels.
You're going to make this hard for me.
I know, because it was a while ago. No cheating.
Oh,
So
shit.
November 2010 top 10 comic books, and I'll give you a little spiel here. Bryce, you'll be happy to know that 11 of the top 12 comics and 17 of the top 20 are from Marvel. It's been like this for a while.
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, in
Let me guess.
November 2013.
Number 1 is Batman, and 2 through 11 are Marvel comics.
Yes, but what Batman title is number 1?
Dark Knight 3.
Dark Knight 3, number
Really?
1. Good pick. That's your number 1 comic of
Have you guys read that? I've not read it.
Really good.
Really good?
It's not Frank Miller. He has nothing to do with it. That's why it's really good.
It's really good.
Wait, Frank Miller has nothing to do with it?
No.
No, they just tacked his
They just
name
put
on.
his name on it. Yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm sure he said, yeah, Batman fights a guy, and that was the extent of his. Yeah. No, he did some. He like covers
Am
and
I
like
looking
interior
at
art.
the right comic on the wall?
Yeah, Frank
Yeah.
Miller's Dark Knight 3. Yeah, he had nothing to do with it.
It's DC's Dark Knight 3 with Frank Miller slapped
Wait,
on there.
who the fuck is writing it?
Brian
Brian
Azzarello.
Azzarello.
Oh.
And one of the Kuberts is doing the art and doing a great impression of Frank Miller too.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Kubert. Thanks, Andy.
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
Anyway,
my mind is blown.
because
Brian
this
Azzarello,
is this is DC's
I
it's
first.
Andy.
hate every non-Wonder Woman thing that he's ever done.
This is DC's first comic where they allowed retailer incentive covers. So there are 65 covers to Dark Knight number 1, much like Marvel's done with a lot of their titles. So had a very strong month for Dark Horse. But now we have 9 Marvel comics.
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars number 7 is on there. You're correct.
Star Wars.
That's the number 4 spot, I should say. Star Wars number 11 is the number 7 spot, and number 12 is the number 9 spot.
Vader Down, number 1.
Vader Down number 1 is also on this list as well.
All right, what the
that's the
fuck
number
else?
2 book, again, because I'm pretty sure Vader Down had retailer exclusive covers.
I think so.
Okay, I have no idea about Star Wars. How about Old Man Logan or Civil War?
No.
Really?
No, this is during the Marvel relaunch numbers.
No, this is
And
Marvel
none of this
relaunch
stuff
numbers.
is done. This is November. Like, shipped in November.
Those books didn't ship in
which-
November.
I mean, Civil War
How
may
far
have-
behind am
but it
I?
would be, like, way down the list.
How many have I gotten?
You got number 1 is Dark Knight. You got number 2 is Vader Down. You got number 4, which is Secret Wars. So you're missing 3. You got
Saga.
You got to get Extraordinary X-Men.
No, Saga.
Saga is
not Marvel,
not. Yeah, it's all Marvel. Extraordinary X-Men number 1 at the number 5 spot.
Okay.
Yep. So you're missing number
Oh,
3.
Thor.
Thor was did not make the top 10.
Really?
It's on there though. Yeah. Well, your
Fucking
number 3
should've.
comic is an X-Men comic.
It was not X-Men 600.
No.
Oh, thank God.
It was all new.
Nope.
X-Men comic.
One of the few mutant-related comic books being published.
Cloak and Dagger number
hit the number 3 spot.
Scarlet Witch?
Nope.
No, that was this month.
It'll be one of Bryce's top 3 movies of 2016.
Oh,
That's
Doctor
for sure.
Strange.
It's a mutant.
Oh, yeah. No.
Doctor Strange. What the fuck? Age of Apocalypse.
Nope. Age of Apocalypse is not a current comic that had
It's
a number 1 in
Deadpool.
November. Deadpool number 1 is the number 3 comic of November
The
2015.
number 3 comic was Deadpool?
People love those variant covers. Number 6. You may have heard of this. We just had a
Holy
long
shit.
discussion about the 2 movies based on this comic book, roughly. One was pretty good. One was kind of a pile of shit. The comic wasn't much better. It's a
Wait,
Marvel comic. It's a team book. It's not the X-Men. They only have one other
Guardians?
Fantastic Four.
team. Fucking...
There's no Fantastic Four comic. Period.
All new Avengers or all new, all different Avengers or Mighty Avengers?
All new, all different Avengers number 1 is the
What is
number
the
6
actual
spot.
title of that?
All new, all different Avengers.
It is not right.
That is
No,
the
it's just
title.
Avengers.
Yeah. Number 8
Wait,
is...
wait. Brock is saying something different than you.
What?
I think it's just Avengers.
No, it's all new, all different Avengers. That is the title.
That
of
is
the
the
comic.
worst
100%.
title
Yeah.
since Totally Awesome Hulk.
Number 8, one of the most variant covers of any Marvel comic of the year. Also, Bryce's favorite Marvel comic of 2015. And when I say favorite, I of course mean least favorite.
Squirrel Girl.
Second least favorite comic of 2015. Uncanny X-Men
the
600 is the number 8 spot.
Oh, that makes me angry like the Totally Awesome Hulk.
Many, many months late. And of course, number 10. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Another mutant book in the top 10. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? She would have made the top 10.
Squirrel Girl, number 1.
Squirrel Girl is technically, she is medically and legally no longer a mutant.
Yeah. She was originally.
All new Wolverine.
All new Wolverine, number 10. The number 1
Really?
spot. Number 1, Dark Knight Master Race number 1 with an estimated sale of 440,000 copies. Number 2, Star Wars Vader Down number 1 at 384,000 copies. Number 3, Deadpool number 1 at 180,000 copies. Number 4, Secret Wars number 7 at 177,000. Number 5, Extraordinary X-Men number 1 at 133,000. Number 6, All New, All Different Avengers number 1 at 128,000 copies. Number 7, Star Wars number 11 at 126,000. Number 8, Uncanny 600 at 126. Number 9, Star Wars number 12 at 123. Rounding out the top 10, All New Wolverine number 1 at 119,000. There are 13 books that sold over 100,000 copies. This, I don't know if it's a record in the last couple of years, but it's among the highest. November was a very good year for comic books.
Well, I mean, especially with the Vader Down crossover that was going on, Star Wars.
July, August, there were some rough. November turned around the dollar trend for 2015. Very, very good month. And then we also had a handful of graphic novels, bunch of some of the stuff no one's going to get. Brock, can you guess the number 1 graphic novel of November 2015? Me and you bought it. Me and you bought it twice.
Oh, the Overture.
Sandman Overture.
Why'd you guys buy it twice?
Two different covers. They did a store-exclusive single print run.
The quote-unquote...
the local comic
shop day.
Yeah.
What do you mean, quote unquote?
It wasn't specifically part of the local comic shop day, but it was released that same week, supposed to be promoted in conjunction with it, but it wasn't released for local comic shop day.
Got it.
And it was one print, comic stores only. So, Star Wars, Journey to the Force Awakens, Shattered Empire was the number 2 graphic novel of November.
I bought it.
Star Wars Princess Leia, number 3. Miss Marvel, Volume 4, number 4. Spider-Gwen, Volume 0, number 5. Deadpool vs. Thanos, number 1. Low, Volume 2. So number 7. Vampirella, 1969. That's not a graphic novel. That's a comic book. I don't know why it's on this list. It's square-bound, though, so I guess that's why it's on here. But it's not a comic book. Or it's not a graphic novel, I'm sorry. Star Wars...
How many pages is it?
I think it's like 48. Star Wars Canon, Volume 1. Last Padawan. That's the number 9 book. And I'm assuming this is Saga Volume...
Isn't it Kanan?
Kanan?
Kanan.
You said,
Did I say Kanan?
well, you said Kanan. It might be Kanan.
No,
I
it's
just
Kanan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I say Kanan?
You said Kanan.
No.
I don't actually know. I just assumed that it was
Saga
Kanan.
Volume 1, the number 10 spot. It was a very,
Volume 1?
Yeah.
It still sells?
It was a very good month.
Jesus.
Now,
That is crazy.
we are going to have... I still got a little bit of time here. So we are going to have our... the industry's top comic books. And Marvel was like 46% of the market share in November. DC was like high 20s. Image dropped down under 10% to like 8.6%. Not a great month for Image.
What was the other missing 20%?
Just various other
It's like
companies.
Oni, Titan, Dark
Wait a
Horse.
minute. Image is 10%, and everybody else adds up to 20%?
I can, if you want to give me 1 second, I will.
It just seems really high. That's not good or
pull
bad.
up
I just
my
I'm
tab.
surprised.
Yeah, Image has been consistently over 10% of the market share for the majority of the year. Marvel Comics was, 43%. DC Comics was 26%. Image Comics was 8.67%. That is one of the lower percents it's been, I think, all year. IDW at 4.4%, Dark Horse at 3.1%, Boom Studios just a hair under 2%, along with Dynamite. Oni Press at 1%, and Titan Comics, who do all the Doctor Who comics, is 0.7%. And
That doesn't add up to 20.
and various
There's other small...
there's 800 comics are released every month. Like there's a shitload more on that list. It's just under 1%. So.
Got it.
Now, we will have the full numbers from Diamond for 2015, but I will read you very quickly here. Comics Conspiracy's top 10 comic books of 2015, as well as Comics Conspiracy's top 10 graphic novels of 2015.
Cool.
If you are following me on Twitter, you've already seen this list.
Let me
but,
guess. Saga number 1 and then Batman.
You're not too far off. For comic books, our 11th spot, and I'm going to say this only because it's a very recent comic, is Dark Knight number 3, or Dark Knight 3 number 1, which is actually a number 11 comic of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just came out in November.
Yeah.
Your number 11 comic of the year.
We sold a lot of copies of Dark Knight.
Holy fucking shit.
Starting at the number 10 spot, working my way up, Batman number 38. The number 9 is
Really?
Batman number 40. Batman.
Wait. What happened in these books?
This is the Joker.
I was expecting
the
like
Endgame stuff.
Dark Side War and Secret War,
All the Justice League-
Convergence,
all-
and like
No, well, this is, again, we're starting with my 10th comic going up to number 1.
I expected
Convergence
this
is
to all
lower.
be Batman's. Well, I guess this is Batman, but I expected this all to be like
Justice
like
League is a little
X-Men
lower.
600, Spider-Man, Batman, and crossovers or
Well-
not crossover miniseries.
Batman 41, Batman 38, Batman 40, and Batman 39. That was a 10, 9, 8, and 7 spots. Secret Wars number 2.
Holy shit!
Secret Wars number 2. Vader number 1 was our number... what's that? So was that 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
Good
Yeah,
job.
sounds
Good
right.
job. You're doing great.
Secret Wars number 4, Secret Wars number 3, and Secret Wars number 1. That's your 4, 3, and 2 spots. Any guesses on number 1 for the year? It's only one guess. Come on, guys. You know what this is. Of course it's Star Wars number 1.
Jason Aaron.
There you go.
How many did we sell of Star Wars?
A whole lot. And this, see, here's the thing. I have no easy. This is pure single comic sales. This isn't count variant covers. This doesn't include reprints. Even with the reprints of variant covers, Star Wars blows everything else out of the water.
Yeah.
There may be some shuffling around there with the variants because obviously the hip-hop covers and stuff sold. But for the most part, I think that's a pretty accurate it's a pretty accurate list. For graphic novels of 2015, again, from the bottom, Superman Earth 1, Volume 3 is our number 10 graphic novel of 2015. Saga Volume 3 is number 9. Get used to hearing that word a lot. Nemo, the new Alan Moore League of Extraordinary Gentlemen book, is our number 8 spot. And every single year when one of those is released, it's always in our top 10. Sometimes it's actually been in our top 1 or 2 spots. And people, I've heard from Diamond that we sell a disproportionate number of those compared to most stores because it doesn't sell very well for them. It's fucking Alan Moore in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't know why, but we do really well with that. Had less than a month, or a little over a month, but Sandman Overture is number 7. That includes both versions of the book. Number 6 is Saga Volume 2. Number 5, that Jeff Johns bump, Batman Earth 1 Volume 2. Again, Batman and Superman Earth 1, those are original graphic novels, so a lot of people are buying those. It's, they're not a reprint.
First read and as a graphic novel.
Right.
Interesting.
It's a graphic floppy.
Number 4.
Interesting.
Saga number 5, Volume 5, which had just come out right before the end of the year. Number 3, Saga Volume 1. Number 2, Saga Volume 4. You see a trend. Hey,
Holy
1, 2, 3,
fuck.
4, and 5, all on our top 10
Holy
list.
Shit, dude.
Can I do number 1?
Do you know? Did you read it? Did you read it?
Yeah.
Oh, then Bryce, do you have any idea what a Comics Conspiracy's number 1 selling trade paperback / graphic novel of 2015 is?
No, I assume it's.
Oh, it's not Saga.
Or Batman.
It's not Saga because the Saga's out.
So is it Batman?
It is not Batman.
It's not Marvel.
It is not Marvel and is not DC.
I assumed it wasn't Marvel. So I read the.
It's also not DC Comics.
So the way you're saying that, I assume that it's Vertigo.
No.
It is.
Oh, it is? Oh, yeah. Oh, because that's the weird one.
I have no idea.
And it's not Sandman.
Vertigo that isn't Sandman. I read like
it ended this year.
See, it's kind of a cheat.
A cheat like
But
Star
it's a
Wars
graphic-
is under the Marvel umbrella.
But it's a graphic novel.
Oh, Multiversity.
Nope.
No, that's just DC.
Oh, then I read a bunch of fucking bunch of like best of lists.
Can I give him the issue number?
Well, that's the giveaway, isn't it? It's Fables Volume 22, also known as Fables Issue 150. There is
That was your number 1 trade?
Yeah.
I didn't know that Fables was Vertigo, by the way.
Yep. What? Yeah. So Fables ended with issue 150, but it was a 176-page comic. So it was released also as Volume 22 because it's the same size as one of their traditional graphic novels. I think it's 176. I think that's the page number. It may be a little bit under that.
I wouldn't have got it if you told me the issue number.
Yeah. You would or wouldn't have.
I would not have.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the last issue was also the last trade paperback because it's the same size. So they just released it. It says
how
150.
How many subs do you have for Fables?
Oh, a lot. All right. So it says plus shelf copies and plus people that only buy the trades buy it. So it's a bit of a cheat, but it's considered a graphic novel as via Diamond.
It's like the
so
Loot Crate cheat. It's like...
it's not considered Fables 150. It's considered Fables Volume 22. So, what do you do? There you go. It's our number 1 comic book of the year. Only beating out Saga by Volume 4, which had come out early in the year, by a hair, too.
Wait, so in your top 11 trades, Saga was 5 of them?
Saga was 5. And top 17, I think the number 17 book was the Saga hardcover.
I want to know where Birthright fell.
They were there. I mean, by the time you get down to copies that I sold like...
What is this Birthright? You keep talking about Birthright. You got a major hard-on for this Birthright
It's
thing.
fucking good.
Image comic he likes, so... we don't sell as many graphic novels as other people. We sold, I think, 1,681, if my memory serves me correct, different graphic novels in 2015. About 1,200 of those we only sold 1 copy of. So, again, comparatively to maybe...
Wait, can you say those again? 1,400
We sold
Sales,
about 1,700 graphic novels,
About
and about 1,100, 1,200 of those we sold a single copy of.
Okay. That's a great data point, those 2 data points.
Because you could see how the chart just goes
Right.
at the end, right? Yeah. Because the amount of books that we sell, to
It's like saga,
everything else. It's like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 copies, and then the chart starts to kind of go up because you're like, the top 25 or 30 is like actually kind of different numbers. Not everything's tied.
Dude, I think that is fascinating, this whole retailer side of things.
Yeah.
Oh, this art is really good. What is this?
It's Birthright.
I know.
You don't have a volume 1.
Get it back. Get 2 last time.
You should
Get
just
more.
order 2 copies.
Well, and what's funny,
I'm gonna read it right now, but the art looks really good, and this guy looks like what's his fucking face from Man of Steel 2 Aquaman.
I did actually make a comment.
Jason Momoa.
I did actually make a comment on my Twitter about the sales of the trade paperbacks. Star Wars Volume 1 and Vader Volume 1 probably would have both been on, maybe not our top 10, but pretty close if I hadn't completely flubbed a reorder. I reordered them and apparently didn't process the reorder, and we were out of them for like a month and a half. And I was like, what's going on with this? And I was like, oh yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you never reordered these. So
yeah, we're out of Vader right now. We're out of Star Wars.
No, we have Star Wars.
We have Star Wars. We're out of Vader and we're out of Journey.
Vader's coming back and Journey's coming back. So like I'm sitting here going like, why? Like Star Wars is coming. Where is my reorder? And they're like, oh yeah, no, you just didn't reorder them. Oh, great. I lost hundreds of dollars in sales because I didn't have the copies on order. So what do you do?
Wow, interesting.
It happens.
Dude, I think this retail side of things is fucking, and you've been told a bunch by the fans, but I think it's fascinating.
Fascinating when I fuck up.
Well, yes, and also every other capacity. I mean, like, all the stories are good.
Well, it's like what our sagas got shorted again.
We got the double whammy. We got all our copies of Saga a couple weeks ago. 32, I believe, issue 32 were shorted, which means that we did not receive our copies. Not our fault, Diamond's fault. They sent them to us direct. Took nearly 2 weeks to get here, so it didn't come in our shipment. It came in a separate box. Took 11 days to get here. We got half our order in the box. The other half, don't know where it is. Paper Girls comes in this week. We got half our order of Paper Girls. Our number 1 and number 2 independent comic, and both in our top 10 comics, like, subscription wise and everything like that.
Is there like a like these things are falling off the truck type of thing?
No, it's just people can't count. I got 30 copies of some Dark Horse comic that I don't order
So
instead.
you get half. Like, that's sort of a major they can't count.
Like I got 25 instead of 50, or I got 50 instead of 100. Like
That just seems like a fucking lot to me.
yeah. I don't. People miscount all the time. So
They
You
counted,
discount by 50?
they counted the stack twice.
or they. Well, in the case of Paper Girls this week, we got another book instead. They filled. This is
When
this is half and this is half.
when Marshall and I covered for Ryan while he was gone.
Glenpool. That's Paper Girls.
When Marshall and I covered for you, we got 2 books that we got overed. We got Invisible Republic. We got double our order, and I think Captain America was the other one. We got double our order, but we got shorted all of our sagas, and we got it's a joke.
It's a pain in the butt. All right, thank you guys. Hopefully, this first episode of 2016 was not
didn't
the
get
worst
any
episode
Twitter
of all
questions on
time.
the first
No,
episode
too long.
this year.
Well, I asked, but we went too long. Someone had to talk about Age of Ultron. Someone's going to get over it. And once Man of Steel, Batman v Superman comes out, we can have arguments about that instead.
Oh, dude. Let's give 3 minutes, because we can afford it, to talk about the trolling that Marvel did to Man of Steel 2.
Oh, the Daredevil.
The Daredevil Season 2.
Nothing. I mean, it's
I
not
think
going
that
to affect.
it will literally not matter.
No,
But
no. Yeah,
but I think that it's hilarious that I love to call you a troll, and Marvel is here, like, setting the release date. So for those of you that don't know, Marvel/Disney sets the release date of Daredevil Season 2 on Netflix.
Same
to be
day.
The opening day of Batman v Superman, which is so funny because it's like
It's so totally different.
At the end of the day, it will probably literally not matter at all.
Did you hear about this?
Such a troll move by Marvel. Go Marvel!
Did you hear about this amazing comment by I won't get too political here, but by men's rights activists claiming that they cost Disney $4.5 million in Star Wars sales because of their boycott of the movie? Did you hear about this?
No.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
It's just funny. You should go look it up. It's funny stuff. Basically,
Can
what
you
I'm saying
tell us
is,
the story?
It's
a terrible story.
These guys said, "Oh, we did an informal Twitter poll, and based on the amount of people that read our website versus this Twitter poll, we cost Disney $4.5 million in ticket sales because we didn't see Star Wars Episode 7 because it has a female and black main character."
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's that sort of like. Okay, even if you let's just say
how much is
you
Star
cost
Wars
them
made so
$4.5
far?
million, that doesn't fucking matter. They make that in half a day.
Yeah.
Like, how much has it made so far?
It's the number one movie of all time. Let me rephrase that. It's going to pass Avatar this week. It may have already passed it by the time this episode goes up.
I very unfortunately didn't get to talk about Star Wars. Can I talk about Star Wars if I keep it short? Okay, how about this? How about I talk about Star Wars a different time? Can I just say that Star Wars gets 4 out of 4 stars for me? But can I rant about Rey?
It gets
Like,
she BB-8 flames up.
She fucking gets like she knows how to use the Force in the first movie. She's like battling Kylo Ren in the first movie with no training. She's like. Look, 4 out of 4 stars. It was fucking incredible. I'll go into it in more detail later. But, like, can I just nitpick just with everybody else?
Everybody forget she whoops those guys' ass with a staff?
Have you seen Star Wars?
I have, but
like A New Hope, the original movie.
No, I missed that one.
Are you familiar with a character named Luke Skywalker?
So she's like,
are you familiar with a character named Luke Skywalker?
So she's sitting in a chair, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen the original trilogy, but let me just like tell these stormtroopers, you will release me from my chair." And I did think that it was a good call. That at first they were like, "What the fuck?"
That's Daniel Craig.
That's Daniel Craig. That's the scene.
That's the scene.
That's Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll go. I do want to watch it a second time. I loved the movie. This is all such nitpicking. Not to take away from it, but just because like I like to bitch.
Which I have clear answers to on all your nitpicking that will resolve any problem you have with it.
Okay, good.
But we'll deal with that at a later date. Thank you all for listening.
She's like a Jedi Master in the first movie, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Jedi Master in the first movie? Luke isn't a Jedi Master in the first movie. And he had like a trainer. She's got like Han Solo telling her
Luke's
that's not how the Force works.
Luke's holding that lightsaber for 30 seconds and he's knocking those blaster bolts back like nobody's business.
He also had Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi and she has nobody.
Let's just say it runs in the family. How about that?
This is just your fucking garbage speculation. Like, you can't just say that and have that win the argument.
This episode and all our previous episodes are available at geekbox.net and iTunes,
Why are you giggling out loud?
Including
look on his face when he cut you the fuck off.
Including a 2.5 hour.
I don't know how that's wheezingly funny.
2.5 hour, 10-person podcast about Star Wars and Star Wars Episode 7.
You guys went like 2.5.
Almost 240.
I listened to it.
Yeah.
We were longer than the Star Wars movie?
And you should also listen to the Geek Box, where we've had no less than 3 episodes, half to fully devoted to Star Wars. So there's a lot of more Star Wars talk in there if you want to hear that. Forums.geekbox.net and the Geekbox and Comic Conspiracy Facebook group. That's where you can go talk to everyone. Go give us your Ray conspiracy theories on there. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. Lots of you probably got new iPads for Christmas. If you want to read comic books on them. On your non-iPad, go to, or I guess you could do it on your iPad too, go to digital.comicsconspiracy.biz, link to your Comixology account. You can read it on any app, any phone, computer, tablet, iPhone, iWatch. Can you watch it on your iWatch? Probably fucking read them in Oculus Rift. Those are going on sale pretty soon. I'm sure it's going to be everywhere. Patreon.com/comicconspiracy. If you would like to hear episode 4 of Bryce Briefly, which is going up as same time as this episode, $1. One single dollar gets you all 4 episodes that are currently up with Bryce Briefly. They're all there under creator.
It's not worth it. It's
creator posts. Go backtrack and find them all in there. You can SpiritofBrock.com, that's Brock's blog, Infinite Long Box Podcast, and The Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. The Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast that Charlie's a host of, also the Infinite Long Box podcast that occasionally gets posted, are available. Those are Charlie's podcasts. He should be joining us back again next week. And Etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art, my wonderful wife. She's got all our artwork up on there. And she's working on a Ray commission, or not a commission, a Ray piece right now. So spoilers for that. Twitter, I'm on Ryan Higgins.
Is it about how she's able to use the Force with no training from Obi-Wan Kenobi in the movie?
Maybe. On Twitter, I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock's Brock Sager. Bryce is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. And Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. Go follow us all in there and say what's up. Geekbox Comedy Button. Good Job Brandon. The All Talk Podcast. Those are little podcasts in our network. Go listen to all those. You probably already do. If you're smart, you do. So if you're not smart, you're listening to this podcast. So
can I just say that Marvel's better than DC?
You can. Sales wise, you are correct.